There's a homestay in eastern China where guests don't just visit, they make wine, ancient wine, the kind that's been brewed the same way for thousands of years. They learn the steps, they taste the traditions, and at the end, they take home a small clay jar filled with something they created themselves. Some write wishes on those jars, some write blessings for their children, some seal secrets inside. Today's episode takes us to Shaoxing, a city in Zhejiang province, just over 2 hours from Shanghai. And if you've never heard of it, you should know about it.
Everyone has a story to tell. We connect and relate to one another when we share our stories. My name is Amelia Old, and I am your host of Voices of Inspiration. Join me as I share stories of friends, family, and strangers from my everyday life and travels. You will laugh, possibly cry, or walk away feeling connected more than ever to those around you and ready to be the change our world needs. Everyone has a story to tell. What's yours?
I'm Amelia, and this is Voices of Inspiration. Shaoxing is one of those places most Westerners have never heard of, but it's been making yellow rice wine, Huangjiu, for thousands of years. The thing is, everything about this place matters. The water system, the climate, even the air. Shaoxing sits on this unique water system fed by Jianhu Lake, and the water here has specific mineral properties. The air carries particular bacteria. The climate creates these ideal fermentation conditions. All of these elements combine to produce wine that tastes different from anywhere else. Today's guest is Zhu Qingli. He runs a place entirely dedicated to Shaoxing wine culture. He wanted to create a space where guests, especially international visitors, could truly understand this culture. Not just taste it at a restaurant, but experience where it comes from and why it holds meaning. Hangzhou is often called rice wine, but that's actually a little misleading. It's brewed, not fermented, like grape wine. The process is closer to making beer, except it uses glutinous rice instead of barley. For those of us used to wine from Napa or Bordeaux, Huangzhou is a completely different experience. Depending on how it's prepared, it can taste sweet, nutty, earthy, or savory. It's often served warm in small ceramic cups, which changes the flavor profile entirely. The alcohol content is usually between 12 and 18%. And if you've ever cooked Chinese food or eaten at a Chinese restaurant, chances are you've encountered Shaoxing wine without even realizing it. It's an essential ingredient in Chinese kitchens, showing up in everything from meat marinades to stir-fry sauces. Making it traditionally involves over 20 distinct steps. Each one requires attention and skill, and unlike modern industrial production, which values consistency and efficiency, traditional Huangjiu making values something else entirely: the human element. There's this process called Kaiba, and it's the opening process where the winemaker's personality literally affects the final product. Your patience, your timing, your instincts, they all leave traces in the wine. Now, in the West, we tend to think of traditional crafts as nostalgic. It's something nice to preserve, sure, but not essential. But in places like Shaoxing, these traditions aren't just cultural artifacts. They represent centuries of accumulated wisdom about fermentation, about local ecosystems, about how to work with natural processes. When these traditions disappear, we don't just lose a product, we lose a way of understanding the world. And that's what makes Zhu's work so significant. He's teaching people to actually make wine the traditional way with their own hands, using methods that haven't changed in centuries. We're going to pause right here for a quick break, and we'll be right back. Today's episode is supported by China Eastern Airlines. They offer 3 nonstop routes from the United States to Shanghai Pudong, which is how I traveled while I was working on this series. China Eastern is headquartered in Shanghai and is one of China's major international carriers. The airline operates 108 domestic and overseas branches worldwide. and serves destinations across China, Asia, Europe, and other global regions. They're also a member of the SkyTeam Alliance, partnering with airlines such as Delta and allowing SkyMiles members to earn news miles across participating carriers. On international flights, China Eastern offers three cabins of service: first class suites, business class, and economy. Long haul routes include entertainment screens, and Wi Fi is available for purchase in economy class. If you're planning travel to Shanghai or exploring future international trips, you can find current schedules and booking information on the China Eastern Airlines website, which I'll link in the notes of this episode. Okay, let's get back to it. There's something else worth understanding about Zhu's background. He grew up in a small town near Jianhu Lake that's been a winemaking center for generations. So this wasn't a career choice for him. It was part of his childhood, part of his identity, which raises an interesting question. What happens when you grow up inside a tradition that the rest of the world is forgetting? Do you move on? Do you adapt to modern life and let the old ways fade? Or do you fight to preserve something that might not survive without you? Zhu chose the second path, and that choice requires sacrifice. Traditional craft doesn't scale. It can't be rushed, and it doesn't really generate the kind of profit margins that modern businesses expect. It requires constant effort, deep knowledge, and a willingness to do things the slow and sometimes difficult way. And yet, he keeps doing it.
我呢叫朱清理，
My name is Zhu Qingli. Now I'm in an yellow rice wine island in the Keqiao of Zhejiang province in Shaoxing city. And I'm running a homestay. This homestay has the yellow rice wine producing themed. This is also the first integral cultural heritage themed homestay in Zhejiang.
Can you talk about this area and what it means to you and your family?
我一壶酒厂补助这一个民宿哈，是我的一个推广
This
绍兴
place
黄酒
is
文
a
化
so
的一
good
个
place for my homestay operation because when the guests come here, they have a place or they have a workshop or they have a platform to know the yellow Rhine wines producing culture here. This is the very typical part of the Chinese culture in Shaoxing city. And it's very, very helpful for me to let more people know, or especially the overseas tourists, to know our yellow rice wine culture.
How did the journey begin in this world of wine? When was the moment you knew, I think this is the path that I'll take?
我呢从小就出生在我们
Well,
界
I
湖
was
旁
born
边，
just
叫湖塘。
beside the Jianhu Lake, and there is a name for it is Hutang. This is the traditional term for producing the yellow rice wine here. And so in such places in this area, there are lots of the famous brands or the famous factory producing the yellow rice wine in China.
What makes this process here different from other places?
这一个地方呢，就
This
是
water system just locates in the upper system of the Jianhu Lake. The water from the Jianhu Lake is used to brewing, for brewing the yellow rice wine producing.
那个几千年以来啊，哈，形
You
成了
know,
自
the
己
air and the water are the essential parts, are essential factor for producing the yellow rice wine here. It's very, very important.
So, brewing is both a science and an art. Which part do you find the most joy in this whole process?
其实呢，黄酒呢有20几道工序，最重要的一
There
道
are
工
more
序
than
叫
20
Kaiba
processes for making the yellow rice wine. But the most important one, and also I think this is the interesting one, the most interesting one is called Kaiba in Chinese. What does this mean? This kind of work will show the person's personality at all. If you are a you always do something in harsh, and then the wine's flavor after the fermentation, it becomes different. Yeah, it shows totally your personality.
Interesting.
And another thing is, just take an example for the pottery jar. That means the best temperature for the fermentation is around 27 to 30 degrees Celsius. The temperature is too high to heat, and then you need to cool down using the handmade tools. And if it's too cold, you may to wear the pottery jar more, like wear more clothes to keep warm for that. So this kind of thing is full of fun.
There's so much to learn. It's so fascinating.
That's right, definitely.
So visitors can now stay at your homestay and experience this firsthand. What do you hope they feel when they visit?
我呢，这个民宿呢，我有几个特点哈，我自己归纳为一个看、学、做。
Every guest
品
in this homestay is offered a kind of, long process of experience. The first is see just how the handmade crafts do this kind of things. And the second is
学
learning
叫做学
the
究竟
knowledge, how to, about what is this and how do we do it.
做事
And the
先
third is to being a, a very, just like the Chinese 神仙, how to say that? It's kind of
Just
really
be
enjoying
in
everything.
the moment.
Yeah, be in the
be in the
moment.
moment.
Okay, be in the moment.
嗯
Tasting the beautiful wine. And the fifth thing, brewing or producing a jar of your own. The last thing is to preserving. Okay, for this part, he also told me, actually, you can preserve something or preserve your love, in this kind of the jar. You can even maybe a love letter in this or something special in the jar and preserve it for your lovers,
I love
family
that.
members.
I love that. So you've written Searching for the Taste of Shaoxing. What inspired you to write this book, and what message do you want to leave readers with?
其实这一本书呢，主要讲的是我们绍兴的一些风物哈，包括我
This
们
book provides the customs, the local food, the cuisines, and the best, the craftsmanship in Shaoxing for every readers. You can know more about Shaoxing, the ancient city. For example, in this book, there is a part for introducing the cuisine, the food, for how we serve for the best distinguished guest from other place. And we called it 10碗头. That means 10 service dishes for the whole meal. Yeah. And the best things in it. It's very, very traditional custom to serving.
When visitors come here, what experience or moment or feeling do you want them to remember the most?
其实我的游客离开了我这一壶酒厂，首先呢，我会
For
给他
every
一份
guest,
我
I
自己
will
的一个
send her a
自己
gift. The gift is a little pottery jar. Inside is the wine. The guest made it by himself. I think this is the whole thing represents all the Yellow Rice wine culture, the stories, and all the efforts the guest had made put in it. Yeah, I think, and it's very helpful. It's very helpful to make more people to experience and to know the stories because he had been here, right?
Yes, I love
我
that.
们这里有的客人呢，我们这里呢有的
You
客
can
人呢喜欢
choose
风
the big pottery jar, and also you can choose the tiny little one. And both of these are the symbols for what you have done or keep your secrets in it. And some guests will write down the best wishes or the best blessings for their own children inside the pottery jam. Yes.
That's really unique.
这
That's
个
very
特别，
unique.
非常特别。
这个
Is there a moment that you can remember from a guest being here that in that moment you felt this is why this is my purpose, this right here of how they are feeling?
其实我这个一壶酒厂到现在已经运营了将近8年时间，让我特别有
Is
印象的
from
哈，是我一个北京的客
guest.
人。
He's from Beijing, and before he came to my homestay, he knows little about such kind of things. And when he come here, I always share with him and tell him how we made such kind of old thing and how to taste it. And he learned a lot about that, and he became loved this, the yellow rice wine. And when he go back to home to Beijing, we became very, very good friends, almost the best friends. And besides our friendship, the man even become a volunteer to help me to spread this yellow rice wine culture.
Oh,
In Beijing, in northern part of China. So I really appreciate that. Yes.
that's really great. So I have one more question. Do you have words that you live by or words of wisdom or a favorite quote that you would like to share with those that are watching or listening?
也没有很精辟的哈，但是呢，我自己认为哈，做自己喜欢做的事，
I
只
believe
要持之以恒。
once you are interested in something and you keep doing on this, I will make it. Yeah, that's what I believe for a long time. Because I run this homestay, this workshop, this wine cultural center. Actually, it's hardworking. I put a lot in it, and it's very efforts. It's a labor intensive, I think, and also I could not do a lot income from it because I have other industries and some other things to cover this cost here. But I really, really love this. So maybe in future, one day I just live from this world, I will say, well, I won't be regretful because I did this, because this I really love it.
I think that's so important. And I also think that when we are doing things that we love, it's not necessarily work because it is our passion. So thank you so much for welcoming me here and your hospitality. It's been so interesting to be introduced to something new and unique. And I am incredibly grateful for you gifting me with your time and all of your efforts today. Thank you.
还是要谢谢你，真的
Thank you. Thank you again, because you did what I want to do to tell more foreigners, Americans know this yellow wine culture. Yeah. Thank you again.
I can't wait to share it. Thank you. There's a moment in our conversation where Zhu talks about a guest from Beijing, someone who knew nothing about yellow rice wine before visiting, someone who became a friend and then became a volunteer ambassador for Shaoxing wine culture. And that moment matters because it illustrates something important. Traditions don't survive through preservation alone. They survive through transmission, through people experiencing something meaningful and then carrying it forward. And when you understand the role Shaoxing wine has played in Chinese culture, you realize why the transmission matters so much. Wine has been used in ceremonies here since around 770 BC. Today, it still takes center stage during toasts at weddings, banquets, and family gatherings, symbolizing well wishes, respect, and the coming together of loved ones. It's deeply embedded in family traditions, especially when honoring ancestors. When families pour the wine during these rituals, They're creating a connection between generations, keeping the past alive in the present. Zhu has also written a book, Searching for the Taste of Shaoxing, that documents the city's food customs, its cultural practices, and its relationship with wine. It's an invitation to understand Shaoxing more deeply, the ancient city, its traditions, and the way people actually live. One example, the book describes Shiwantou, a traditional 10-course meal served to distinguished guests. It's a custom that reflects how hospitality and culture intertwine in Shaoxing. These are the kind of details that matter to Zhu, the small traditions that tell larger stories. It's all part of a larger project, creating multiple access points for people to understand what Shaoxing represents, not as a tourist destination, but as a living culture. At the end of our conversation, when I asked him for the words he lives by, he said that when you love something and keep working at it, that effort has value, regardless of conventional measures of success. And he's honest about the difficulty. He supports this cultural work through other income sources. It requires constant effort. To some, it might not be the most practical choice. But when he imagines looking back on his life, he knows he won't regret it because he did something that he believed in. I've been thinking about that perspective a lot. We live in a world that measures success through growth, efficiency, and profit. And those aren't bad metrics, but they're not the only metrics. Some things matter because they connect us to the past, because they teach us patience and attention, because they remind us that not everything worth doing can be optimized or scaled. Zhu is preserving a tradition that's survived for thousands of years. But more than that, he's demonstrating what it looks like to commit to something meaningful, even when the path is difficult, even when the outcome is uncertain, even when the world isn't applauding. That kind of commitment is rare, and it's worth paying attention to. Thank you for listening to Voices of Inspiration. I'll see you next week.